Hi there, my name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA, and welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text, and for at least the time being, we are not tying them to an item from the Dollar Tree, we're tying them to an item that we might be able to make at home, or we find at home, or things like that. So, there we are. And this is for the narrative lectionary, and we're looking at Acts. And we're looking at the story about Peter and John, and there's this healing that takes place by this beggar that needs to be healed, or that he is healed. But there's this phrase, "look at us," or "look at me." And so part of this is a springboard off of the Revised Common Lectionary 1, where the joy that comes from this "look at me," but this idea of being fully seen. Being seen is a gift, and especially, when we think about the homeless, when we think about those who are vulnerable, when we think about those who are in need, being seen and noticed is a big thing. And so I'm thinking about, the springboard is peekaboo. Peekaboo! And the joy that brings a little baby. Peekaboo! Peekaboo! And that it elicits that joy not only from the receiver, the baby or the child, but from the adult or the one playing as well. Peekaboo! So that's one direction going with. The second is, so when we were in the sanctuary, and during the season of Lent, we hid the Alleluia. I always called it the worst case of hide and seek ever, because there's this, we put the Alleluia, we had it in a box, we had it in front of the altar, and it was like every children's sermon pointed it out, said, "Where's the Alleluia?" Or I said, "Where's that word we're not saying?" And they point to the worst case of hide and seek ever. So I'm thinking, I've seen a couple of memes, I've seen a couple of graphics looking at, where's Waldo during social distancing? And it has there's the whole thing, and Waldo's right there in the center. Boom. So one of the ideas is to find one of those graphics, or make it your own, make maybe a stick figure, and you've got a large piece of paper, and you just have a stick figure, and you say, all right, so what I want to do is I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to see if you can find me in this picture. And you hold the picture up, and there's just one stick figure in the center. And there we are. And this idea of a fun way of pointing out being seen, and then using that as a springboard to say, in the gospel lesson, there's a person that maybe not many people saw, or if they did, they got used to ignoring him. And then here, he is really seen. He is seen, and not only that, he's spoken to, and he said, "Look at me." And there's this healing that takes place, but there's a wonderful gift about being seen. And you know it as kids. You know how many times where it's like the kids, especially, there's got to be times where you're in the same place with the same family day in and day out, and there's a point where, I as an adult, I feel it, the feeling of bluntly being ignored. And it doesn't happen all the time, but there's the times where you feel it, and you're like, oh. So I can imagine the kid in the background going, "Me, me." I'm thinking of Bart Simpson's, where he's jumping on the couch. "Pay attention to me, me, me. Hey, look at me, me, me." We know it. And so to hear the news that you are seen by Jesus, that you are seen and loved for who you are, is wonderful, grace-filled news. So that's where I'm going. That's the direction. I'm hoping this can be a springboard for your own children's sermon. As always, thanks for stopping by. Stay safe, stay healthy. You are all in my prayers, and I appreciate the work you're doing, and I know your congregations do. I feel it from my congregation when I hear it from them. And so if you haven't heard it, your work is important and appreciated. So blessings be on you. We'll see you next week.